Denver cuts another multi-million-dollar settlement check with fresh promises to keep people from dying unnecessarily at the jail. Why are the A-line horns still blaring through neighborhoods? The problem is bureaucracy. The dude camping out for days for a pot party permit learns he'll be waiting days longer. He appears cool with that. Military history from the men who lived it in Colorado. It'll be easily accessible to anyone soon.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm ready to tackle this.
I don't associate a day at a brewery with fine motor skills, but maybe these people are onto something.
So we were looking for something offbeat to do to get people in.
And the ongoing mystery of Denver's parking meter in a tree. Next. Denver could do a lot of things with $4.6 million. I mean, just look at the wish list that voters are being asked to approve borrowing for right now. $4.6 million could make federal boulevards safe for pedestrians. It could revamp the Highline Canal. It could upgrade the city's fire stations. It's enough to renovate several libraries. Or it could replace the city park playground with millions to spare. But $4.6 million is being paid out in yet another settlement for yet another death that should not have happened at the Denver jail. Michael Marshall was his name. He was in jail 2 years ago because he couldn't come up with the $100 for bail for disturbing the peace. His family is now getting $4.6 million from the city's general fund set aside for unexpected expenses. Although, let's be honest, at some point, huge payouts for deaths at the hands of Denver police and sheriff's deputies should not be unexpected anymore. Michael Marshall's death was pretty terrible. He choked to death on his own vomit as he was being restrained during a psychotic episode. But Michael Marshall's life has new meaning, as the settlement over his death forces the Denver Sheriff's Office to train its deputies on how to help prisoners who are dealing with mental illness. There will be 2 more full-time mental health workers at the jail, and the jail will have to develop a protocol to allow family to visit an inmate if they go to the hospital following an incident. I'm telling you, cannot wait until we can stop talking about the A-line. The train to the plane has largely sorted out its performance issues. Peace of mind for riders. Peace and quiet is still elusive, as the train's horns keep blaring long after people living within earshot had hoped that they would be silent. Our Marshall Zellinger found out it may be policy and not the train's performance that's preventing the A-line from ditching its flaggers and horns.
Hey, can you hear it? When you're around Stapleton or anywhere else along the A-line, you certainly do. Last month, we told you the PUC, the state regulators of the A-line, denied a request to let the gates stay down longer than currently approved, which would have started the process to get rid of flaggers and maybe even the train horn. The next day, the FRA, the federal regulators, gave a 5-year thumbs up to continue operating the A-line.
They've indicated to us that they're not going to consider our quiet zone applications until everything's resolved with the PUC.
So until RTD can meet the timing requirements previously approved by the PUC, all this remains. The PUC published a written explanation of their denial last week, and it shows commissioners at odds with each other. 2 commissioners wrote, "This puts establishment of the quiet zones along these commuter rail corridors at jeopardy of not being able to be established because of inconsistent warning times at the crossings." In dissent, Commissioner Francis Concilia wrote, "Why must the horns be sounded when both the FRA and the Commission ordered the flaggers in place 24/7? We must take steps to determine if there is any relief from the blaring of the horns." But what if I told you the holdup on the quiet zones wasn't because of the performance of the train or even the crossings, but rather the policy of how RTD and the PUC interact?
The challenge with their system is that we can't directly address the commissioners.
It seems RTD would need to file a new application to have a chance to talk directly to commissioners. Instead, they filed a motion to amend a previous application. Confusing, I know. Commissioner Concilia writes, "It's inefficient and trivializes the issue of safety."
We're in the room, they're making statements that we know we could help correct, pick me, and we're not allowed to address them because of that process.
For next, I'm Marshall Zellinger.
I'm sorry, that was funny. I didn't know he was going to do that. That's good. RTD has until November 14th to request a new hearing with the PUC. You want to root for him there, because until the PUC and the federal regulators allow the flaggers to go, the train horns are never going to stop. Hey, another quick note about getting around town. If you need a day pass for RTD, you don't even have to get off your apps to get it anymore. RTD is unveiling mobile purchasing for single-day tickets. They promise expanded mobile ticket options in the future. All right, it is totally a publicity stunt. Even the guy sitting outside Denver's Webb City office building admits it's a publicity stunt. He's one of several employees of the Euflora dispensary who have been camping out until Denver opens up the permit for the annual 420 festival. He had planned to camp out until today, then he got some bad news. Here's our Steve Sager.
It's an interesting scene during the wee hours of the morning, I'm not going to lie to you about that.
He looks like a Black Friday shopper.
We got a sleeping bag, I've got a blanket.
And since 420 falls on a Friday next year, I guess you could call him a Green Friday shopper.
We just don't want anybody to beat us to the punch. I think it's that simple.
Robert Reginelli works for Euflora in Denver. They want the permit to host the 420 rally.
Last year's event was pretty disastrous for the public image of the marijuana industry.
The previous organizer lost the permit for a few reasons, mainly the disaster they left in Civic Center Park afterward. The organizer is appealing, and a hearing judge should rule on that soon. The city opened up the permitting process for 2018 events today, but held back on the 420 rally pending that decision.
Currently there is no line, but as soon as the city announces when the hearing will be final, then it's first come, first serve.
So enter Reginelli and his team at Euflora, who admit, yes, this is a publicity stunt.
I think it's partially that, but I think behind that is this is a true desire by our company to turn this event into a professional representation of what marijuana looks like in 2017.
One man
that paid $20 an hour for you to sit in a chair outside of the city and county building and hold our place in line.
Well, more like a bunch of men and women trying to save the face of an industry 1 hour at a time.
Totally. Well, I figured I'd holler. How are you?
Euflora's had someone out there for about a week now, and they say they will stay there until the city announces that permit is open. A decision on that appeal is due next week. Kyle.
Stunt on, stunters. Thank you, Steve. This is the first day of Brovember, everybody. The Broncos could have made the QB switch from Trevor Siemian to Brock Osweiler in Brocktober, but we can't have nice things. The Broncos made the change privately and with class, the way that I hope 9 News management does it when Steve is named the new host of this program. They called the guys in last night, told them about it, and then told the world this morning. I want to read you something that our Mike Kliss wrote about Trevor Siemian. To me, this says it all. Kliss wrote, "He has no reason to hang his head." A 7th-round draft pick, number 250 overall out of Northwestern in 2015, Siemian, Kliss writes, has already exceeded expectations. Tonight, we plan to bring you the first installment of a 9 News original series, Spear. We are still working on putting those stories together. We'll share them with you as soon as possible. Just want to let you know in case you are specifically interested in seeing Spear.
They were pioneers in Colorado within the last 100 years. Their stories will soon be preserved and made available to all of us. The fact that these folks are in a brewery is your first signal this is not your grandma's kind of cross-stitch.
There's definitely some very foul-mouthed things that get cross-stitched in this tap room.
And a first for our series, What Do You Say? A town comes to us to set the record straight. Next.
In spite of the cloud cover today, actually it was pretty warm outside. I'm meteorologist Kathy Sabin. But that wind, though, oh my goodness, we had wind gusts to almost 100 miles per hour recorded north and west of the city. The high wind warning remains in effect for the Front Range foothills through midnight tonight. Things fairly calm in Denver after day with a high close to 70. We'll look for a similar day tomorrow. But finally, the weather pattern just kind of settling down. In spite of the fact we've got a front draped along the Front Range, very cold air to the east, very warm air to the west. It is creating that wind wind scenario, that tight pressure gradient with the high and the low. But you know what? All in all, we're kind of sitting in a really good spot right here. The cloud cover will move out tonight. We have a mostly sunny day tomorrow, and it'll be fairly mild. Our low at 43. That's where we start tomorrow. The wind's still a factor for the foothills, but I think a little less than what we experienced today. Highs near 70, and then just a beautiful pattern heading into the weekend with 70s on Saturday. Daylight saving time comes to an end over the weekend, as you know. Next storm I'm tracking is Monday. We have a chance for rain and snow and cooler weather on Tuesday, but outside the station right now in downtown Denver, Kyle, it is just a beautiful evening and pretty quiet.
Kathy, thanks. So many of the most interesting stories in libraries these days are not written down in books. The Denver Public Library is moving one of its best-known collections, moving it to a place where everyone can see it. Our Mike Grady got an early look.
The archive at the Denver Public Library looks like just a room full of boxes.
Up on the 6th floor is where we keep most of the 10th Mountain Division collection.
Kelly Schmind sees history.
The 10th Mountain Division in World War II was the first U.S. Army division to go through high altitude and ski training. So they trained here in Colorado, up at Camp Hale near Leadville. What you find here is
Kelly heads the library's 10th Mountain Resource Center.
Digital video cassettes.
And its collection of over 300 hours of oral histories from vets of the 10th.
It brings history to life.
Unless we were seen, they didn't fire. After we got rid of the mules, we got 2 more gun sections.
We have to learn everything about enemy weapons.
First-hand accounts of training and fighting.
And one guy shot a sheep.
Family, friends, and filmmakers donated the footage.
There's always the chance that a tape is going to break, or a CD or DVD is going to degrade or crack or peel.
Over the next year, the library will digitize this collection thanks to a grant awarded to them on Tuesday.
Then we'll have files that we can copy, we can post, we can save.
We were right in the infantry positions.
Next November, all of the footage will be available on YouTube.
You know, we love to digitize files and photographs and put them online where people can see them and access them.
I didn't know we were going with a special outfit.
The project makes sure these stories will be seen and heard for years to come.
You could see Belvedere,
not just stashed away in old boxes.
To actually see somebody talk about it and see their eyes and the expression on their face as they kind of relive those moments, it's just amazing. It gives me chills.
For Next, I'm Mike Reid.
Historians and anyone interested doesn't have to wait to see those original tapes. They're still available during this digitization process. They're on the 5th floor of the Central Library branch.
It's nostalgic. I like that there's like things from my childhood.
It's like the cross stitch your grandma made if she had a really foul mouth and a sick sense of humor. If apartments in Denver don't have parking these days, it's not fair that tree houses have it. We learn more about the mystery of the parking tree. And 100 days out from the Olympics, we are reminded Olympians are kind of strange. That's next.
I have heard it said that beer goes well with everything. Fine, I was the one who said that. But even I was not envisioning the combination that our Noel Brennan found at a brewery on South Broadway.
The giant inflatable grandma.
We're always brainstorming weird things to do.
Doesn't really attract a Sunday football crowd.
So we were looking for something offbeat to do.
So Grandma's House Brewery
I like that there's like things from my childhood.
offers a different kind of craft.
I'll probably frame it and like put it on my mantle in my house.
So every Sunday, we do foul mouth cross-stitch Sundays.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Sonia Lujan didn't pick a foul-mouthed pattern,
I guess I'll put like a foul mouth word on here instead of love.
but she may change her mind.
Some very foul mouth things that get cross-stitched in this tap room.
Some too dirty
I try to keep it a little clean.
to grace Grandma's walls.
One of the first ones that I ever did was on the wall right here. Notorious B.I.G. To all the ladies in the place with style and grace.
Matthew First didn't know
Oh, I need a needle. Important.
people would dig brews with embroidery.
But then again, I also didn't know if anyone wanted to hang out in a bar called Grandma's House either, so I'm continually pleasantly surprised.
Turns out pairing beer with the offbeat
I'm the only one actually crafting. They're drinking beer.
feels right at home.
Definitely like your grandma's house, but hipper.
For Next, I'm Noel Brennan.
Noel tells me the way this works is you buy a beer, or you pay $5 and the cross-stitching materials around the house. Grandma's house. A sign of fair play in Fair Play, where a liquor store offers the warning that sea level lovers really need. Liquor store, high altitude spirits, hangovers installed and serviced. Next viewer Bill Urbanowski spotted this. Send us the warnings you see that are good enough to share. Email next@9news.com or get our attention with the hashtag #HeyNext. What do you say? It's our way of helping Colorado navigate the place name pronunciations that seem to bedevil people, especially the newcomers. We have set the record straight on dozens of your suggestions, but this time, a town came to us asking if we might help people help their name roll off the tongue. Small town southeast of Denver, off Highway 86 near Elizabeth, starts with a K, population 744. One of the 744, the town manager, asked for our help getting the word out. So we asked her, what do you say?
Well, a lot of people call and or come into town and call us Kiowa. And we are definitely not Kiowa, we are Kiowa. At one time there was an upper Kiowa, middle Kiowa, and a lower Kiowa, and now we are just Kiowa, which was the middle part of Kiowa. We correct them nicely. Oh, they just kind of laugh at themselves and say that they understand, and then they call us Kiowa.
You heard her mention the Kiowa is in the middle part of Kiowa County. The town used to be called Middle Kiowa until just about a century ago. Send us in search of a place name that you've heard mispronounced, or maybe one that's always made you wonder. Hashtag #HeyNext on the Twitters, or email next@9news.com. There is a free parking space in downtown Denver. It's right beneath the tree with a parking meter stuck in it. And 100 days out from the Olympics, Olympians are hard at work training in all kinds of strange ways. Your caption suggestions just straight up killed us on this yesterday. Next viewer, Jessica K, spotted this scene, 18th and Lawrence in Denver, parking meter inexplicably stuck in a tree. We can tell you today the parking meter is no longer in the tree, but we have no more idea how it got there in the first place. Neither does the city of Denver. Took 2 meter techs to wrestle it out of the tree. They think it was about 75 pounds because the concrete was still stuck on the bottom of it. Meter wasn't damaged, so they get to reuse it. And they're not going to replace it until tomorrow. So attention, everyone. Free parking space, downtown, prime. I'm telling you, 18th and Lawrence. Go get it. With 100 days to go until the 2018 Winter Olympics, future Olympians are busy training. A few of them in unusual ways. Take figure skater Mariah Bell. She moved to Colorado from Houston so that she could focus on skating, but she's decided to work unicycling into her training.
I started doing it just for fun, but it's definitely something that can help with core training. Yeah, absolutely.
Core training, unicycling, you heard it here first. Cross-country skier from Aspen, Simi Hamilton. He once ran for nearly 12 hours, ultra-marathoning to prepare for cross-country skiing.
That's not an ordinary thing. I think my coaches were not that psyched on it, but my best friend that I grew up with was doing a run out, and he was doing an ultra-marathon outside of Carson City, Nevada, and this spring he kind of invited me out to pace him for some of it, and I was kind of hesitant to say yes, and then at some point we were both just like, yeah, let's do it.
Anything for an edge, right? Anything for an edge. Hey, listen, 9 News will remind you a few hundred more times, but the 2018 Winter Olympics begin February 9th, run through the 25th in Pyeongchang, South Korea, and they're here on NBC. Don't worry, we'll mention it again. A funny story. So Next actually debuted last year, same night, right as the 2016 Summer Olympics began in Rio. Cannot believe we've been on the air that long. Nobody thought it was going to happen, not even Cody over there. And he's a very optimistic guy. And all that time on the air, Cody, we have never gotten a poem as our closing feedback, but we have it tonight from Chuck Thomason of Aurora, talking about that parking meter in a tree. A poem this man sends in. Parking meter in a tree. Oh, how funny. City people, don't you know? Birds and squirrels don't have money. I think that was good. I don't know anything about poetry. I think that was really good. It was our first one, I tell you what, so it was better than any other one we've ever received. See you next time.